Stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our April 20th council meeting. Matt, would you start us with a roll call?
Councilor Halter.
Here.
Batolo.
Here.
West.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Savage.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Zadi.
Here.
Mayor Como.
Here. Councilors, the first order of business that we have is the approval of the minutes from the special city council meeting of April 1st, 2021, and the city council meeting minutes of April 6th, 2021. I'd entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
Your Honor.
Councilman Batolo?
So moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, councilors. Next item on our agenda is the presentations and proclamations. And I have asked Shelby Delaney, Sweetwater County Prevention, to visit with us here tonight on suicide prevention. And I'm going to turn the time over to them. And the reason that I have asked Chief Pacheco to make contact with them again, they've been here before, but we kind of have some alarming numbers that concern me, and my biggest concern is how can we help get this information out for any individuals that may be in this situation to find the resources they need, and just reach out and show them there is help. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you
Is
so
that
much.
microphone on? I'm sorry.
Hello. Okay. When testing, you have to speak slower. It's just a fact. Thank you for having us here today. And I think the last time we were here to talk about suicide was in September. So quite a bit has happened just in the world since September. So we wanted to first update you on some statistics in our county, in the state, and then in the nation. And then as well as that, we want to tie in substance use and talk about how that is such a pressing matter in our county. And then also we want to talk about some of the resources that we currently have. So data collected from the CDC states that from 2019, the Wyoming suicide rate was 29.3 deaths per 100,000. And so that's per capita. And that puts Wyoming at #1 for the most suicides per capita in the nation. While the national rate has decreased by 5.6%, our state rate has increased, but our county rate has stayed unchanged. To put that into perspective, though, the national rate is 14.5 per 100,000, so that's on average. So we're over twice the national average. Suicide is the second leading cause of deaths for ages 10 to 44 in Wyoming, and in our county alone, we have the highest suicide rates among ages 70 plus. And then 40 to 44. 75% of the suicides in Wyoming are completed by firearm, and this is important to recognize because among survivors of near-fatal suicides, when asked about the length of time between their decision to die by suicide and the actual attempt, 47% said that time period was less than an hour, and 24% said that was less than 5 minutes. So that initial feeling of wanting to die by suicide and then the first attempt. Putting time and distance between suicidal person and lethal means may save a life. So that's what we really focus on in our roles as prevention specialists. We want to emphasize the importance of safe storage and decreasing the access to lethal means. And we know that guns are really important here in Wyoming, and our goal is not to take guns away from anybody, but again, provide education surrounding safe storage and access to lethal means. So the final statistic that I will report to you guys before turning it over to Shelby is that 83 to 91% of suicide attempts made by firearm are fatal. 1 to 2% of suicide attempts are by overdose are fatal.
Okay. So something that's pretty near and dear to my heart is substance use prevention as well, because I'm in recovery. And I think substance use and mental health tie a lot in together, and especially with suicide. So we have to make that connection, and a lot of times people don't want to. But it's really important to make that connection, because we learn that substance use prevention is suicide prevention. And so to put that part in perspective, 22% of suicide deaths nationwide are alcohol related. And in our county, 55% of suicide deaths are alcohol related, meaning that that person died with alcohol in their system. They were under the influence of alcohol. And in our, we have high rates of binge drinking in our state, and we're above the state average for people who are reporting binge drinking in the last 30 days, which for men is over 5 drinks, and for women is over 4 drinks. And that's binge drinking. That's enough to get them intoxicated, and if they chose to drive, being over the legal limit. And so we're at 20.2%, and the state average was 17.7. And another interesting thing is that, so we have so many DUIs in our community, and this is from substance use. People are using substances, and it's legal. Alcohol's legal, and that's okay. But teaching people to consume responsibly, and because regardless of if somebody is a little bit under the influence or a lot of under the influence, their inhibitions are lower, and they can make rash decisions that they maybe wouldn't make if they weren't under the influence. So it's important to spread that information. People are going to take higher risks, can choose to take higher risks if they're under the influence of substances. So our DUI average blood alcohol content for our Sweetwater County is 1.776%. That's over double the legal limit to drive, and it's the highest in our state. So really staggering numbers, and really something that we want to push education on, because we know that alcohol is legal. We know that people are going to drink, and it's a big culture change. We can't change the whole culture. We can't change all these social norms, but spreading education and having people make informed decisions, knowing what a standard drink is, knowing that, their kids are watching. That's a really big thing. Our kids are watching us at community events. They're watching people consuming alcohol, and it's just spreading those social norms down. And then people are having to live with parents who aren't there because of the choices they're making if they choose to die by suicide. So this is bleeding down into our future generations, and I think it's something really important to address. And then substance use prevention is suicide prevention. And then if a person is drinking more than they usually do, that's away from their baseline. So these are warning signs of suicide. So if something's drinking more than they usually do, or you notice they've started using substance, that's a warning sign for suicide. Not always, but it's a good time to have a conversation. If you care about your friend, if you love them, say, hey, here's something I noticed. I noticed that you're drinking a lot more, and I want to be there for you, and I want to help you. Another warning sign is seeking access to means, withdrawing from family or friends, or end of a relationship or marriage. And we've heard that a lot, that people in their relationship ends and they choose to die by suicide because they don't see a future. And that's really hard to look at and think about. But those are some warning signs. So knowing, hey, I love this person and I care about them, and I'm going to check in with them and see what's going on. And we know that coping skills, support, and treatment work for most people who have thoughts of suicide. So getting that help, adequate mental health and substance use care so that they can continue moving forward. And talking about suicide is a research-informed practice. And if we talk about mental health, we normalize these experiences and struggles that we all face. Because right now, we're all going through this collective trauma of COVID. It's something that nobody has been shielded from, and we're all experiencing the same thing. So if we normalize that and talk about it, my mental health isn't great. Personally, I went and got on antidepressants because I was having a hard time coping. So normalizing that, hey, I can talk about that. That doesn't make me less than. That doesn't make me weaker. We need to talk about this. We need to normalize it, normalize struggles, and make people not have to feel so isolated. So we have free gun locks for suicide prevention. We have medication lock boxes, but we also offer free QPR trainings. And the state of Wyoming is also they got a grant to offer QPR trainings to the whole community, employers of communities. So if the city of Rock Springs wanted every person under the city of Rock Springs to get QPR trained, they could do that. And it's a 1 to 2 hour training. It's self-paced, it's virtual, and it's fast, and it helps with recognizing warning signs, risk factors, and what to do in that situation where you think a person might be suicidal. That's a fast one, a fast training that we do have. That we have longer ones like mental health first aid and
We're actually planning on taking Connect, which is connecting people to resources who are or experiencing suicidal ideation, and then we also have crisis intervention team coming up in June.
So, not to interrupt you, but that is my concern. So we do, of course, we do a lot of proclamations, and we have many groups come before the city council and tell us what they're about, and then we walk away, and in my own mind, I'm thinking, but what are we doing to help? We go about our way, and then I'm sure, just like you mentioned, the times that we're going through right now, people losing their jobs, and the COVID-related issues really build on people. And you know, I've always heard, and I'd like to think that it's true, because I have known certain people. It's not the ones that usually talk about it; it's the ones that don't talk about it, and then it's too late. So, as the city council, what can we do? Because it sounds like you have a lot of resources. What can we do to get the word out, whether it's advertising, hotlines, you know, posting something on our website? And I, you know, these are all good things too, but just like you mentioned, if you get an individual that's maybe distraught and drinking too much and maybe driving around town, I don't think he's going to immediately go to the city website and say, oh yeah, well, look at there, I can get some help. So how do we get that information out to people so they know in advance that there's options out there, and that somebody's going to listen to them and be there for them and help them through this?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How, and I don't mean this to come across poorly, but how well informed do you think you are about suicide prevention in our county?
I would say I'd like to be more. I'd say I'm little informed, and when I see the numbers, which is the reason why I spoke with Chief Pacheco, I thought I don't know that we're doing all we can to be informed. And if someone was to call city hall, where do I send them? What do I say? I would imagine you don't have a lot of time at that point, and they need to have somebody that's well rehearsed in recognizing the issues and helping provide the information we need. So whether it's information that's provided to us here at City Hall, the police department, I'm sure Chief Pacheco probably has that information. But what if somebody in City Hall was just to get a call? I would like to know that our staff would immediately know how to handle that and where to send them and keep them on the phone, and things like that. And I don't think we're at that point.
Well, I think it's really important that all of you come to that point where you are educated about these things. And so we would like to extend an invitation, and we're trained in mental health first aid, and that recognizes signs and symptoms, how to assess someone for a risk of suicide or harm, and then to connect them to the appropriate professional help. And I know you guys are really busy, and it is an 8-hour training, but we are always available to help inform and educate our leaders of our county and city.
You bet. I would think that if you want to set something like that up and make an invitation out to at least the department heads and the city council, those that can attend would like to attend and learn more about it. And that way we wouldn't walk away and think a simple proclamation probably just wasn't what we needed to do. We need to kick this up a notch and make sure that we're doing all we can do to make sure that we save lives.
And I think it's really important too, like every community, I think by contract through the state of Wyoming, has to have a crisis line number. So in Wyoming, in Sweetwater County, Southwest Counseling is that number. And so like 352-6677, anyone calls that phone number any time of day, there's a 24-hour clinician on the end of that line that they can be connected to.
So how is that information got? Is there billboards, there advertisement? What's going on? How do people get that number? I mean, maybe they're driving around town and see a gigantic billboard, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
What are we doing to make sure that gets out there, and how do we get that information out there? We do things. I'm thinking even with our Citibot, things like that is a tool for the community to call in and give a complaint. Maybe I got a pothole in my neighborhood or things like that. But we can help wherever we can to get information out that sends a text message to every citizen in Rock Springs that has signed up for that, and maybe that would help.
Absolutely, I think it would help because another thing is that when somebody is going through a crisis, maybe at that moment they're not in the state of mind to know, but having someone else that's like, oh, I know, and I think I can help you, and connecting them, somebody, a
Yes,
cared one, a
exactly.
loved one, and having that other person. We're trying to get the word out as much as we can. Luckily, COVID is hopefully coming closer to an end. Please,
Let's
knock
hope.
on wood. But so we're able to get out more. We're able to talk to kids. We talk to youth. We've talked to kids at the high school. We recommend to them to take their phones out, even though they're not supposed to. So we're like, hey, take your phone out. Take a photo of this. Put this number in your phone. We give them the suicide talk line because we know all these things are important. We've done a few articles, and I know we could absolutely do better at getting these numbers out and just getting out more information. We do a couple articles a month in various news outlets, but we can
School districts, you work with the school districts to maybe assemblies or something that's disseminated through the school district to get that information out to our young students and the like?
We can. We've only really talked to incoming freshman classes. So I think at this point we've talked to every incoming freshman at the Rock Springs High School. But yeah, we need to get in with the schools. That's so if I'm being honest, there's a big barrier there. We've had a huge barrier with contacting people, trying to get a hold of people, trying to make our voices heard, and not getting that reciprocated because everyone's so busy. And so we understand that maybe prevention isn't like number one on the priority list, but it should be close to the top because it affects everyone. Everyone in our community is affected by some kind of prevention that we're doing. And so yeah, we need to get out there, and we need those connections too, because we have tried in some instances and we're kind of getting hit with roadblocks.
I have comments, I guess. I was listening to a radio show who talked about parents whose kids committed suicide, and that was due to COVID and whatever various reasons. But they had talked about keeping that number in your kid's phone for suicide prevention and that. But well, that's not me. It's not going to be my kid. But it's not. Don't sell it that way. It's if you have a friend. So that way it empowers you to help that friend, and you're not pointing at that. I have a problem, or I'm not going to have the problem. Everybody says they're not going to have a problem. But if you put the number in the phone and say, if you know of anybody or have a friend who has, give them this number. They know it's there, they can go to a friend. So you're it's psychologically changing it a little bit to not point the finger at somebody, but enabling them a way to help somebody if they need it. But they have that number there. And so I think it's a way we communicate that, and the way we, I thought that was a great idea. It's like, wow, it's so simple. Stupid, why didn't we know this before? But the other comment I have, and it comes with binge drinking, which over the last couple of weeks we had prom and everything else, which just shocks me right now, because when you look at binge drinking, and I look at social media for my kids and everything else, and the number of kids that I see bottle in hand, guzzling alcohol, and then there's a shot of an aunt or uncle that's in their 20s, 30s, or 40s that's right there with them. Or, I'm going to go over to my uncle's house because he's going to let me have my friends over here and we're going to drink. And it just blows my mind that we're, as adults, are enabling kids to do this, and it leads them down that path.
That's like one of the biggest risk factors for our community is the social acceptability of alcohol, and then the social accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of those two, we have a low perception of harm. And when we have that low perception of harm, we're conveying that message without conveying that message that it's okay for our children to partake in the same activities that 21 and older.
There's a mentality that if they're going to drink, I'd rather do them, rather than do it in my house. Well, no, That doesn't work that way.
Which is, yeah, absolutely, it's still against the law, and it's not setting them up for success. And I think as parents, we all want our kids to be successful, and we love all of them. I apologize. I feel like if my hands were tied behind my back, I couldn't talk to you. My mouth would probably be so shut. I talk with my hands so much. But we want our kids to be successful, and we want them to be safe, and kind of conveying that, like, we want you to be safe. And because of that, because I love you, I don't want you to drink, you know? And I think that's so hard because I think back to when I was a kid and what could somebody have said to me that would have changed my mind, you know? But also just having that trusted adult there, because I didn't have that really when I was a kid. And so having a trusted adult that's like, hey, I need you to know that I care about you. I'm willing to talk to you about whatever it is you need to talk about. And kids knowing, because as parents, we think they know and we think they would come to us, but sometimes they wouldn't. Or just telling them, hey, I think it's really important that you have a trusted adult in your life. And if it's not me, that's okay. But somebody that you trust, that's an adult, that if you have a problem, you can go with it to them and you know that they will give you sound advice and help you make a good decision. And that's actually one of our biggest protective factors to the risk factors of, you know, social availability and acceptance, social norms, is having that trusted adult that can help with just be there, and they know that they're there, and they know they can talk to them when they need to.
That's good. I would like to continue this conversation, and if you can set something up, by all means, maybe a day of training, so it may help us to understand what the resources are, how to get people to recognize the signs. You know, maybe, I know we're all busy, but you know, I'm sure that gets back to what Councilor Zotti just stated about role models in your life and having somebody, an adult that recognizes the sign or that they feel comfortable in talking to, and because then if you don't, and then it's too late and the life is lost and lives are affected, and I just would have to say, after the last meeting that we had, it's been dwelling in my mind, and then seeing the numbers based on Wyoming's numbers, those numbers are too high. Any number is too high, but I would just like to know that we're doing what we can to help, whether it's to get the information out, recognize it ourselves, or be able to speak with somebody who may have called. Frankly, I'd like to see having a number that's not something that people have to dial, like a 362 something, you know, they're not thinking about that. We have 911, maybe that's where they call.
I'm glad you said that, because in 2022, we're actually having a national number, or statewide.
No, it's national.
Oh, national number 988. And
Yeah,
that's gonna
that
be
it should be something easy that people can remember, that, hey, I can dial this 3-digit number and not have to worry about where that number was. Those kind of things. I think everything that we can possibly do to make it much easier for people to access the resources that we have available. Because what's even more frustrating is to see another life lost and know that we had these resources and say, how was this person never connected to these resources that we train on and we spend money on, and they're available, but they knew nothing about it. So just my concerns. Councilors, any?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you have like a data sheet with the stats that you just gave us a little bit that you could give to us? And also, can you tell us of any activity on the state level that's gone into suicide prevention?
Right now, they're getting a suicide prevention, a statewide coalition together. It's not fully formed yet, but there is, if you go on the Department of Health website under injury prevention and suicide prevention, they have like the statewide plan, the last one, I think it was made in 2012 or 2016. It was a long time ago, and they're revamping that. They're getting that back up because the states are realizing, like even at the state level especially too, that we need to revamp this, you know. We've got to get going, revamp things. They used to have a statewide suicide prevention coalition, and that kind of fizzled, so they're revamping that, getting that going again.
Thank you.
And then any piece of legislation that was being talked about versus passed.
Okay, thank you.
One other question that I had was, you mentioned hurdles, roadblocks that you were seeing locally. Is there roadblocks we can help with?
The main roadblock has been COVID. So.
Yeah, that's a roadblock.
But I don't know.
Just getting questions answered. And I know I'm not putting any fault on anyone in this school district. They have got their hands full. They're so busy. But I've been just having a hard time getting responses about questions I have, people I need to talk to, and it's just been difficult. And I've sent multiple emails, so I know my part in this is that I could be more persistent. I could walk down to the cab. I don't know if they'd meet with me. I don't know if that would work, but I know I can do more. It's just a little discouraging when we're trying to get out there. But I also know, we see the news, we see what's going on, we see schools closing and people relocating. So I know they've got their hands full too. So maybe what we're doing isn't number one.
Well, I think it's one of those topics that no one really likes to discuss because they just like to brush it under the rug. And as Councilman Zadi said, it won't happen to me or my family, and then it does, and you'd have wished you'd have talked about it. But I would say if you would just continue to communicate with Chief Pacheco's office, let us know if we can pull something together. We'll be there, and we'll try to learn more and make sure that we're doing our best to get the information out and provide at least an idea of where these resources are and be able to recognize some of the cases if they come through.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks you guys. I appreciate you coming down again and sharing some more information with us, and we'll continue this conversation. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Okay. This is going to move us on to the petitions section of our agenda, and I would ask if there's anyone here tonight wishing to address the council on any issue whatsoever, this is your time to do so. Just please come down to the microphone, state your name for the record, and let us know what you're here about.
My name is Fred Coleman, and I'm with Coleman Construction. And the reason I'm here is to talk about the Bitter Creek job. We were the low bid on the job for the base bids, and we are not the low bid if they use concrete. So I'm here tonight because I'm the low bidder. And, I've talked to a few of you guys, and the consensus is the concrete is better. Paul here he wants concrete. But there's quite a bit of a difference in price between the concrete and the asphalt. And bidding this job, if there was money in the budget for concrete, they wanted concrete. But my take on the budget is there's $470,000 short to do the 100% of the concrete bid. And we are on the asphalt bid $85,000 less than the concrete bid, which is a substantial amount less. And I don't want to dispute whether concrete's better or asphalt's better. Concrete's better, it's stronger. There's a maintenance, this is what I've gotten from you guys, there's a maintenance issue with asphalt. You have to maintain asphalt to keep it nice. That is true, but is that worth $85,000? And I'm giving you the lower number of the difference that's between the concrete price and the asphalt. We're actually $100,000 less if you go apples to apples, asphalt to asphalt. But being where you're short on the money, $85,000 is quite a bit of money. Now, if setting aside the asphalt and the concrete's better, whatever. But I'm not an engineer, so I really don't want to debate the concrete and the asphalt. But what I did come here tonight to say is, I, as a contractor, wished that you didn't even put the road in for 3 years. We have to maintain that creek for 3 years. And that road is a maintenance road. So if we have to go back and do something in the next 3 years to that creek, I have to take an excavator that weighs 50,000 pounds, 60,000 pounds down that road. And the road is 12 feet wide. With concrete, it's got 4 inches of concrete and whatever gravel. If it's asphalt, it's got less asphalt and more gravel. But no matter what is there, when I take that big excavator down that road, my tracks are going to be right out on the edge of it, because there's also a wall there that I got to miss. I may even have to put some dirt for my tracks to sit on. I just actually wish the road wasn't there till the 3-year period is up, and then if you want to have an access road, which if it lasts for 3 years, you really don't need a road. And that amount of money that you would save is $261,000 for the asphalt, and more, and $85,000 more if you do the pavement, which is a total of $346,000 to just not do anything. I don't know how we stand, whether we're the low bidder. If you knock that off or add that in, I think we're the low bidders. But then we don't have a problem maintaining that creek. The reason the road is there is so that we can, you know, I've heard this from some of the councilmen, so we can drive a dump truck down there, drive this excavator down there. But personally, as a contractor, I wish the road wasn't built. I just soon drive down on the grass or the mud or whatever it is. We're not going to drive down when it's muddy. It's going to be dry. But that's a lot of money. And I think that you as city council should consider that much cost savings for this project. And the money dispute is just over a road that I don't know if you guys think we need the road or we don't need the road. You know, if you don't need the road, maybe you need a walking trail, or maybe it's something else, but you don't get, if you call this a walking trail, AML will not give you the money. It has to be a road. So I don't know if you eliminate the road, if they still give you the money. I do not know that.
Well, Mr. Coleman, if I could just, for a minute here, first off, if you were the selected contractor, you would have to maintain that ditch for 3 years, and then you don't care after the 3 years, but we do. The reason with the concrete and why the maintenance road was designed was to get down into the creek because of the vertical walls and do some maintenance on the channel. There's also there will be numerous times in the spring and maybe during a 50 or 100 year flood where that maintenance road would be completely underwater. So when you talk about asphalt and how you maintain asphalt, how do you maintain asphalt?
Underwater?
No, when it's out on the surface, how would you maintain the asphalt? What do you do to it to keep it
new?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not an expert when it comes to asphalt. All I did was Google it, you know, because we put the asphalt in, we put the concrete in. Until today, I really don't know the correct answer to that. But asphalt, in order to keep it nice, needs to be maintained. Is
Yes.
that the question you asked me?
No,
or-
but to maintain asphalt, you'd have to oil it. You'd have to crack seal it, which then you'd have petroleum into the creek, and we'd have EPA all over us. So the reason why engineering decided to go with concrete is it's much more environmentally sound. It's more stable. It's stronger. It'd be doweled into the wall, which would help support it with epoxy coated rebar, and there was some stability to the maintenance road. There's no way, and we've had track holes in there before when it's muddy, it's never dry in the bottom. Even if it looks dry, it's not dry. You'd bury a track hoe in a heartbeat, and then we'd be working all day trying to get your hoe out of the creek bottom. So that was the decision on the concrete and why the engineering department decided to go with concrete.
And is it my turn to talk?
Sure.
If that was the case, why did you even have asphalt as the base bid for the decision on the project? Why didn't they just go with concrete? And if they would have went with concrete, if the bids were the same as they are, I wouldn't be standing up here because I wouldn't be the low bidder. But they did use asphalt as that, and yes, you're right with the track hoe getting stuck and stuff, but you're also asking us to build this project with a track hoe in that mud. Then we put the asphalt on later. So when the project's done and we have to go do the maintenance on it, we're not gonna go down there the day that it's flooding because we all know we can't get down there that day, nor do we want to drive on a concrete road when it's got, and Councilman, there's, in my drawings, it actually shows the 100-year flood above the road, which makes, you correct with the EPA and all of those rules, but if you knew them before we bid this job, why would you even put asphalt in the bid? I mean, I just don't understand why we put asphalt in there if we didn't want asphalt, and then come with these excuses, which are totally correct. But I don't know if you've walked down Bitter Creek. I don't think the little bit of asphalt that's gonna float down the creek that's asphalt matters, because I've been on a lot of river projects that's flooded out, washed the road out, the asphalt's there. And the EPA part of that asphalt's never been an issue. Just repair the road, because the flood actually washed the road away.
Yeah, so we would be rebuilding the road probably every year after the spring runoff. That's my concern. So if asphalt's cheaper, how many times does it not become cheaper if we have to rebuild that road every year?
Well, I don't think that unless you have the 100-year flood. Now, we're debating this. If we don't have that 100-year flood, which we probably haven't had that flood in 100 years, why would the road wash out if it's asphalt? That road would be no different than the parking lot out here, which is asphalt, or a road somewhere else along the creek. Until that 100-year flood comes, it should not affect that road. Only when that flood comes would it be that much above that road. And it's pretty hard with that much water running down the street to wash a road out. But if that road was down towards the bottom and it was 6 feet over the road, then it would wash it out. And as a contractor, I've worked on these roads that's washed out. I've put thousands of yards of riprap against the roads that's washed out. I just don't think that Bitter Creek, when it floods, if you look at that creek right now, it flooded last year and the year before and the year before. It's flooded, but it hasn't eroded any of that particular bank away. That creek looks good in that spot right now. It hasn't really washed anything away with the flooding that's happened in the past. And with your design, it's actually, you've made the creek bigger. I'm trying to look at everybody here. We've made the creek bigger so it will hold more water. And when you put more water down a bigger area, it actually slows the flows down. Therefore, I think your engineers has done a really good job of designing it. I think that the asphalt is one option. The concrete is a better option because that's what you know, I can't argue with the better option. I'm just saying, as a contractor, for those 3 years of maintenance, I don't mind going back and maintaining the creek, because I'm gonna build this creek not on that asphalt road. I'm gonna build this creek on the dirt road. Then I'm gonna put the asphalt on it. But when I go back with my big equipment down that asphalt road or that concrete road, I stand a chance of damaging it. Then I'm gonna have to repair the road to come back out of there. That's why, you know, you guys got a nice road for me to go back down. I respect that. I'm just saying, as a contractor, I've built the creek on a dirt road, and if you have that 100-year flood, it's gonna be up in that road, but that's a 100-year flood. The sides of that bank are grass. You've designed that. It will hold. If you did the same to the road, it would hold also. That's why I'm here tonight, is I hate to give up, you know, because I've spent, what have we spent, a month working on this? We had to pre-qualify, we've had
No, I'm not spent a month. Believe I began this in 2003.
Yeah, well, you spent a long time.
This has been a long haul, and I would like to think that nobody has as much time as I do in here. Laura has quite a bit of time. Our city planners and engineering department, a lot of time discussing this, debating this, trying to get us to this point. And I guess I'm a bit concerned, Mr. Coleman, and I appreciate your comments. I don't agree with your comments, because asphalt's just not the answer, and you would tear it up. But I'm really concerned over if this was such a legitimate complaint. I understand your attorney and yourself have been lobbying this council over the last couple of days. How many times have I been called, or the city engineer, on this issue? 0. So I would think if this was really a legitimate complaint, the first place I would have probably started, so I could look into it, bring it to the attention of our city council, and have some discussion on where we were, that you would have at least came to see me, gave me a call. We speak all the time, not one call. Therefore, to me, I have one resource to go to, and a recommendation by our professional staff and an engineer that tells us that concrete is the best way to go. That's the option that we want. And to me, working behind the scenes doesn't give much respect to my office. So I would say I'm going to have to go with our city engineer and what they're requiring and what their recommendation of the city council is.
And you know what? That comment that you just made is probably the correct way to do that. And if this happens again, I guess first I go to you, and I have no problem going to you. I don't know you.
Yeah, I've never met you. I would this came up, and I appreciate your many years of experience. But the only thing I have to go with is a staff that has an engineering degree and a recommendation to the city council. So I totally agree, because I've been in construction. I know what happens. I've thought about an asphalt road inside that creek, or whether it be dirt, and the fact that a track hoe would tear that asphalt road up immediately, and the recommendation for a concrete slab to support that equipment in times of maintenance made a lot of sense to me.
So then you also know how the track hoe is also going to be rough on the concrete road.
It's going to be rough on the concrete road, but it's not going to be nearly as rough as it would on asphalt. I'd imagine one trip on an asphalt road, that thing would be destroyed.
Well, it depends on how hard it is, I guess, and how good the operator is. But that also, your comment here, if you've had this many years, and if you've wanted concrete for this many years, why was asphalt in the base bid? I mean, you as an engineer has done this, but for that many years you've been working on this project, why was asphalt even an option? And if it wouldn't have been an option, I would not be the low bidder here. And if I lost the bid by 5 cents, which I've not lost one by 5 cents, but I've lost one for less than $100 more than once. And when you lose, it's the bidding process. You know, and I don't understand why asphalt was an issue. If it wasn't, on the next 4 phases you got, I wouldn't even put it in there. And at the discussion at the meeting, I wouldn't tell us contractors, if you have enough money in the budget, you want concrete. Just say, I want concrete. Don't let us complicate it anymore than we put concrete in. But I do, next time I will come to you first.
I'd appreciate
And
that.
I did not really know. I only know one person in here. He's the guy that insures me. And I don't really know anybody else. You know, so the underhanded part, if that's wrong, I won't do it again. But when I did talk to one of the guys, you guys want concrete. And I didn't know we wasn't the lower bidder till about a few days ago. I thought we was the lower bidder, you know, and I just assumed where the budget wasn't there, the concrete was not an option. But I do know now that the concrete, you want concrete, let's get your concrete. But it's also quite a bit of money. And I think that's wrong for you guys to even put asphalt in there if that's not gonna be an option.
Well, I can appreciate your comments, Mr. Coleman, and your experience in the construction field. And I believe what engineering wanted to see is just what our options were. And that's why it was included. And then make a decision based on the design and what would last. And concrete would most assuredly last much longer than asphalt.
I got a question. How much, and this is a Paul question, how much longer does concrete last?
Well, I don't know that I can answer that. You know, in our experience with concrete pavement, other concrete structures, we've always seen that concrete has lasted longer, required less maintenance. There's a lot of factors that weigh into how asphalt degrades and how concrete degrades or acts. So I don't know in this situation if I can give you a number of years between the two. But in our experience with what we have used it for, we've had better success and less maintenance costs with concrete. One other thing that I would like to say is the reason that we put asphalt in there as an add, or I guess in this case we put asphalt as the base bid and then had concrete as an alternate. We were concerned about the budget too. We were concerned about how much money we had available. We wanted to take a look at both options. We wanted to get a price for both options. If we were going to save enough money and make it worth our while to deal with the maintenance responsibilities of the asphalt, we would have probably considered that. But $84,500 between asphalt and concrete does not constitute that in our minds. Concrete is the better option. We feel it will last longer. It will require less maintenance in the future, which in turn will require less money. And for $85,000 or $84,500, we feel the better investment for the city is going with the concrete option. But we did want to take a look at it. We had no idea how, you know, with all of the COVID stuff, all of the things that are going on with material prices, We had no idea how this project was gonna come in. We wanted to be able to have our options open if need be. We are not seeing that cost savings that would make asphalt worth the future maintenance that it would require.
What is the cost to maintain asphalt?
There again, you know, it depends on I guess how it degrades. As the mayor stated, it could be patching, it could be crack sealing, it could be, you know, an overlay of some sort. We do the same thing to our city streets. We do notice that on our city streets when drainage isn't the best or we have saturated subgrade, the asphalt deteriorates very fast. It alligators, it cracks, potholes. Concrete has a higher strength, more structure. It seems to handle saturated soils or definitely water running on it, water being on top of it. You know, that's why concrete curb and gutter is concrete. Because you cannot run water down asphalt for very long before it erodes it to nothing. But it depends on how it degrades and what, I guess, type of maintenance is required to determine the cost. I can't tell you how much each individual process is going to cost.
But that being said, Mr. Coleman, anyway, we recently had a discussion, and I know a totally different type of traffic from a track hoe versus a golf cart, but I don't know if you've visited our golf course, but the front and back 9 or 18 holes are asphalt paths that we have maintained numerous times, replaced, and the lakes is a concrete path, which was put in 2008, and just as nice as they could be. All the water that they get, the asphalt paths on the front and the back 9 are terrible. We've had discussions about tearing those things up on the front 9 and using concrete replacement to redo those paths so we don't have to mess with them for the next 15 years. It is a nightmare. And getting back to the bit of why engineering requested asphalt versus concrete, obviously the budget reasons they wanted to see what was there, but realistically every contractor has the obligation to take a look whether it's concrete, asphalt, or styrofoam for that matter, and put a bid together that makes the best sense to them on what they think they can do the project towards. And I'm sure you have many years of experience doing that, and that's where we are at this point.
Well, I don't think that I can argue with you guys anymore with the golf course. The concrete at the golf course was put in 2008, correct? When was the asphalt put in?
A couple of times. Quite a while before
that. Or after that?
Before that.
And where I'm going with that is, you know, when we're on our side of the fence, what we got to do is understand the golf course. So we go up to the golf course and we've already heard about the golf course. A kid that works with me, his name's Sean Moran, he said that asphalt's been up there before he was almost born. He's not that old. And the concrete is good. I have got a concrete driveway that got paved a year or two ago. Well, I don't really want to say who, but in this town with these plastic soils, I got a brand new concrete driveway that's gorgeous with a great big crack in it. And you know what? The concrete guys, all us we're concrete guys too, all concrete cracks. But that concrete along that creek with the moisture, we keep bringing, the 100-year flood is the only time it's gonna get an abnormal dose of water. But the concrete is gonna crack. The concrete is gonna last longer. I just don't know if it's 84 and a half, I rounded up to 85,000. If it's worth $85,000 more. The maintenance on asphalt, if you call somebody up about the maintenance on asphalt, every 5 to 6 years, they need to do some maintenance on asphalt to keep it new. The maintenance on that asphalt is not that much money. I'm not gonna say because I don't know the correct answer for the maintenance on the asphalt. You guys can go down and find your previous bids and get that answer. But that much money in difference would maintain your asphalt in the top order, that much difference, however long. But I'm not gonna argue that point either. The concrete's a better deal. It's just better. But me as a contractor thinks you guys can save $346,000 by not even putting it in, unless you need to put it in. Me as a contractor, I would like to maintain that for the next 3 years, and I'm not saying that because I'm wanting this job. I'm just saying this because I don't want to have to go back and fix the concrete or the asphalt. The concrete is stronger. It won't bend as much as the asphalt. But when I take my 60-foot long reach excavator on this little 12-foot road, with that wall back there, I have to sneak it right out on the edge. And when I'm going to be breaking your concrete. But I'm not going to do it intentionally. I'm going to be as soft as I can so I don't break the concrete. But anyway, you as council, I spent enough time here.
Well, we appreciate it, Mr. Coleman. You make good points. We also have to consider the fact that this is phase one. We have 3 more phases to the east side of town that we still have to work on. And that would be a lot of asphalt pathway to maintain. The recommendation by the engineering department was concrete, and that, like I said, until I'm going to say yesterday, was the first time I heard that there were any issues whatsoever, and there was some contacts made to the city councilors, and then they started asking me questions. But I'd appreciate in the future, just come see me. And
we didn't know we wasn't low for just a few days ago.
And let's talk about it, and then maybe we can discuss some of these options. But what I have to go by is like I said, our engineering group. I'm not an engineer. I lean on.
I thought you was an engineer.
No, not me. No engineer. They live in a different world, and they're much smarter than I am. So I take my guidance from our licensed engineer to tell us what's going to work. Landmark Design, was that the group that actually did the original design, Laura? They put together a good plan. It's been there for a long time, and all in all, that's what I have to go with. Makes good sense to me. I can tell you I have been a part of a lot of oil field roads out in the desert. When they cross a wash, it's concrete. They put concrete ribs in, and it lasts forever. And they don't do maintenance on asphalt. It would be gone in a heartbeat. So makes good sense to me.
So the next 3 phases, we probably, as Coleman Construction, won't worry about the asphalt. We will concentrate on...
Well, the next 3 phases, unless I change Clark's hat and talk about representative stuff, to find the money to do the next 3 phases, there won't be any more next 3 phases, because this one here was, it only took, 23 years to get going? And here we are having this discussion, so it's a bit frustrating for me. But I do now realize why they call it the bitter creek, because it's been very bitter in the many years that we've been working on this. And We like to support our local contractors wherever we possibly can, and you bring home some good points. But I would say if we do phase 2, 3, and 4, the pathway will end up being concrete.
Well, if money's an issue, I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, if money's an issue, I would consider tabling this tonight and consider what your options are, because money is always an issue.
Well,
Whether you're on this side of the fence or that side, and we want to do the most amount of work for the least amount of money we can. And money is always an issue. And I'll let Clark talk, but I've talked enough. Thank you.
hey, thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Mayor, member of the City Council, if I may, I'm here tonight representing Coleman Construction. And just 2 words about process. One is, I think this may, when at bid opening 2 weeks ago for this project, the base bid was read to the public, but the alternative bid numbers were not read to the public. And although it would take longer, perhaps as a matter of process, it might be a little more transparent if to take the extra 30 seconds or a minute or so to read each of the alternatives in the event that the city intends to rely upon those alternatives. Another word about process is that I don't think there's anything improper about talking to the city council members. They all have a vote here. And Mr. Mayor, I'm always happy to talk to you about anything and everything, but I'm also looking for votes. And one of my goals has been to, on Resolution 2021-58 that's before you tonight, that if you were under budget on this project, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. But if you're over budget by $400,000 or $500,000, it might make sense to table it and think about it and see if there's a way to shave off $300,000 or $400,000 off the total contract price, or keep it with the asphalt and go and save yourself $85,000 with Coleman Construction. So thank you for your time.
So, Clark, while you're still there, as we've seen during the engineering bid, the bids were then set back and they were rebid. What's to say that the city council determined that they wanted to go back and rebid this, have another delay, which we've already had 2 delays on this project, and we find out, based on what we know, material being 25 to 36% more, and now we're $1 million out. Are you going to find that extra money to build this project?
And Mr. Mayor, I'm not suggesting that the project be rebid. I don't think that would make a lot of sense, but the city could use its power to eliminate certain items from use the existing bids, just take out certain items. For example, the maintenance road itself, may save that for a later day. That would be one choice you might have without having to rebid. I think rebidding is probably not a great idea, because we are in.
Well, I didn't think so either, but that's what happened the last go around, and we can't afford any delays. My biggest concern isn't who does the job. It's getting the job done with a competent contractor. We got to get this job done. The whole intent with this project, as we all well know, is to alleviate the floodway issues throughout the town. And I think after 20-some years, I think we owe it to the community to get these projects moving.
And Mr. Mayor, we share a common goal in wanting to get this project done, and I'll keep using full efforts to try to find more money for the other 3 segments of this as time goes on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Still under petitions. If there's anyone here wishing to address the council, this is your time to do so. Hearing none, I'm going to close the petition section of our agenda. We're going to move on to the officers and staff reports. Councilors, we have number 1, the health insurance fund recap for March 2021, and 2, the financial report summary for March 2021. I'd entertain a motion to approve the officer and staff reports and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So bring us to the council committee and board reports. Item number 1, we have the Rock Springs Historical Museum Board meeting minutes of March 10th, 2021. Number 2, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting minutes of March 11th, 2021. And I would ask, Is there any reports not shown on the agenda that wish to come forward to the governing body at this time? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the council committee and board reports and place them on file. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show no opposed. Councilors, if you've had time to take a look at the correspondence, unless there's questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the correspondence and place it on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's going to bring us to the bills and claims, councilors, and item number 1 is the bills and claims for April 20th, 2021. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for April 20th, 2021.
We do have a motion to approve the bills and claims for April 20th, 2021. Do we have a second? Second's called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstained.
Let the record show. This is going to move us on to item number 2, the salaries for April 7th, 2021. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve the salaries for April 7th, 2021.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve the salaries for April 7th, 2021. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, this is going to bring us to the new business items on our agenda. Item number 1 is the approval of Blue Cross Blue Shield ASO group plan changes to include the telemedicine in the city's health insurance plan permanently. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman Batolo?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2 is a request from the police department for permission to apply for a Wyoming Office of Homeland Security grant. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3, a request from the fire department for permission to apply for a state Homeland Security preparedness grant. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor. Move to approve that request.
Councilman Halter? We do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We do have a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, item number 4 is a request from the KD Foundation for a road closure on South Main from B to E streets on September 12th, 2021 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for its 18th annual Color Rush Walkathon. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman Robinson?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Item number 5, the request from the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce for permission to use Chamber Park for an Alzheimer's event on August 14th, 2021. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage?
I move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, item number 6, request for liquor catering permit from Jess's Girl Incorporated, doing business as Gateway Liquors for the Catholic School fundraiser on May 1st, 2021 from 5 p.m. to midnight at the Sweetwater Events Complex. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman Halter?
I move to approve that request.
We do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, item number 7 is a request for a liquor catering permit from the Wild Horse Saloon Incorporated, doing business as the Hitching Post for the Tucker Apperson wedding on May 15, 2021 from 3 p.m. to midnight at the Sweetwater Events Complex. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo?
I move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8 A request for a liquor catering permit from the Wild Horse Saloon Incorporated, doing business as the Hitching Post for the 2021 Ducks Unlimited Banquet on May 15th, 2021, from 3 p.m. to midnight at the Sweetwater Events Complex. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman West,
Move to approve this request.
we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Number 9 is a request for a malt beverage permit from Chad Banks, doing business as Rock Springs Renewal Fund, for the Blues and Brews event on June 19th, 2021, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Bunning Hall. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Zadi?
I'd like to move to approve, and thank you to Chad Banks. He put in a lot of time and effort trying to find an actual date that didn't conflict with a lot of things. And I think it was kind of frustrating at times. So I'm glad we finally got something to go, and it looks like we'll have Booze and Blues this year. So
Good deal. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Let the record show. And item number 10 is the request from Santa Fe Trail Incorporated for permission to transfer their liquor license to Green River to cater the Finn reception on July 31st, 2021, from 4 p.m. to midnight at the Green River Pavilion. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo,
move to approve this request.
we have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And item number 11, we got the request from the Poorhouse for permission to extend their serving area for a benefit for Shara Lorenz Minor on May 8th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West?
move to approve this request.
We have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second has been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is going to move us on to the resolutions portion of our agenda. And item number 1 is from the Housing Authority, Resolution 2021-49.
A resolution authorizing Timothy A. Como, acting in his capacity as chairman of the board for the Rock Springs Housing Authority, to execute a contract for professional services with Tri-Hydro Corporation for the Rock Springs Housing Authority.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage.
I move to approve Resolution 2021-49.
Council, we do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-49. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 2, Resolution 2021-50.
A resolution accepting and approving a proposal from McGee, Hearn and Pies LLP, certified public accountants and consultants, to audit the financial records of the city of Rock Springs for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute and confirm said proposal on behalf of the city.
I would like to thank Mr. McBurnett for lobbying for a reduced price here, Matt. That was much appreciated, and we'll have a reduced price from years past. And councilors, with that, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West.
move to approve Resolution 2021-50.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-50. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's called. Roll call.
Councilor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 3, Resolution 2021-51.
A resolution accepting and approving a license agreement with Colorado Interstate Gas Company, a Delaware limited liability company, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said license agreement on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo?
move to approve 2021-51.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-51. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 4, Resolution 2021-52.
A resolution accepting and approving a memo of understanding between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Sweetwater County, Wyoming, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said memo of understanding on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, this is for use of the grassy knoll. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo?
move to approve 2021-52.
We do have a motion to approve 2021-52. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 5, Resolution 2021-53.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with R&D Sweeping and Asphalt Maintenance LC in the amount of $43,040 and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-53.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-53. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Abstain.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 6, Resolution 2021-54.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with Weed Management Solutions in the amount of $91,348.78 and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo?
move to approve Resolution 2021-54.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-54. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's called. Roll call.
Counselor Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 7, Resolution 2021-55.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Justice Systems, Inc., and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West?
move to approve Resolution 2021-55.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-55. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 8, Resolution 2021-56.
A resolution accepting and approving an addendum to the collective bargaining agreement with the International Union of United Mine Workers of America and directing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said addendum on behalf of said city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Zadi?
I'd like to move to approve and thank Les and the union for their efforts in working with the city this year. I appreciate it.
We do have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes, and I'd also like to thank less for the amount of time that you put into researching and communication and understanding. I appreciate what you do. Item number 9, Resolution 2021-57.
A resolution accepting and approving the 2021 Wildland Fire Management Annual Operating Plan and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs to execute said plan on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage.
I move to approve Resolution 2021-57.
We have a motion to approve 2021-57. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 10, Resolution 2021-58.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and DeBernardi Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $5,040,192.90 and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, I would ask, are there any questions, discussion, before the vote continues?
Discussion.
Councilman Patolo.
I would like to amend this to delete the segment 2, which would make the bid for total alternate A bid to $4,960,892.90.
You mean alternate B?
Or alternate B, excuse me.
Not segment 2, right? Alternate B.
Yes, alternate B, excuse me.
What was the amount again?
It'd be the total minus the,
$4,960,892.90.
okay, so councilors, first off, we have a motion to amend. Do we have a second on the amendment, or do we have any discussion?
I'll second.
Okay, so on the amendment, we have an amendment to just remove the alternate B section of the bid, still maintaining everything else. We have a second on that. I do know there's some differing thoughts, but we're going to vote on the amendment. So if you vote yes, you're going to vote to support removing the bike path area. If you vote no, you're going to want to leave that in. Remember, the alternate B area is the area where it's going to be just excess dirt stockpiled versus having the excess dirt stockpiled and a bike track created is what the intent is, correct, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay, so roll call on the amendment.
Counselor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Hold on. No.
Robinson,
No.
Demus,
No.
Zadi,
Abstain.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
No, I believe that tied it up with an abstention. 4-4. So the motion fails. That being said, councilors, back to the resolution itself. Any discussion? Councilman Savage.
I have a couple questions for Paul, but first of all, I wanted to say to Mr. Coleman, that was probably the most pleasant petition that I've seen in a long time, especially for $5 million. You really handled yourself well. So at what stage of the project is the road completed? You know, the surface put on? I should know that, but I don't.
Your Honor, Counselor Savage, of course, we don't have a schedule from the contractor yet, but our assumption would be that, yeah, the surfacing of the pathways would be done near the end. All of the grading, all of the other stuff would be done first, then they would place the road base and the surfacing on the pathways near the end.
Okay, thank you. And then as to the question of why the road couldn't be, you know, just gravel instead of a blacktop or a concrete, what's the thought there?
Well, I think we had that discussion, you know, when
We did?
when Mr. Coleman was up here, when we were discussing asphalt, concrete.
No, I'm talking about if it wasn't either, if it was just left dirt or gravel.
Then it would be very difficult to maintain. It would be pretty much mud. After a storm event, we would have, one, it would erode. Two, we would probably have to wait a significant amount of time to get down into the creek to do any cleaning, maintenance, you know, collect debris if it's washed down there. We would have to wait until it dried. If the pathways are a hard surface, we should be able to get in there sooner.
And what is the length of this road? What, do you have a sense of? Because I was thinking it was 11 or 12 feet wide. It's a certain depth, thickness.
3,250 lineal feet.
For this segment?
Yeah, it varies. There's some 12-foot, you know, maintenance pathways, and then there's some 8-foot that are pedestrian / bicycle type that connect with the trailhead parking area, and then also to the south belt route on the north side. I don't know the total quantity, but that sounds good.
All right. Right. Thank you.
I've got a couple comments, Your Honor.
Councilman West?
This is the project that keeps on giving. But it should be noted that both, I mean, asphalt or concrete, were over budget, and it's a little bit disheartening, you know, COVID or not, that the engineer's estimate was off by almost $500,000, and here we are. And we've got, you know, AML funding wrapped up. Now we're facing a horrendous budget cycle, and we're trying to figure out how to keep this project going without giving the money back. And I think, you know, my biggest struggle with it has been the financial aspect, not necessarily how, you know, the bids have come in or which option, whether concrete or asphalt, is better. So just to put things in perspective, which they kind of highlighted earlier, but the asphalt was almost $65,000 over the engineer's estimate. Concrete was about $438,500. So, you know, the difference there is roughly $73,000. To me, I understand the concrete and the reasoning behind it, and I support that. I think it's better in the long run. I did have some concerns with how it would hold up and things of that nature, but I'm not an engineer, so I'll take their word for that. But this is a little bit tough as far as the financial side goes. So I've had some discussions with Paul and the mayor and some of the councilors about, you know, can we scale it back and live within the means of the engineer's estimate? And I'm basically being told no, that, you know, this is what we've paid for as far as the design is concerned, and that there's going to be other aspects and hopes with some type of value engineering and the like, and perhaps other projects that we've got going that are over budget that we might be able to backfill some of this money that we're going to be kind of shifting around. So I just think it's important that regardless of the asphalt or the concrete, we're over budget either way. So in my purview, the big question is, how much do we want to dip into our own funds, which is obviously the taxpayers' funds. So that's all I have on that.
Councilors, any other comments?
Your Honor.
Councilman Robinson?
So again, I'm somewhat new at this. Kind of came on to this project at the tail end of the beginning of the project, I guess, if you look at it that way.
You want to talk ambulance?
No, I do not want to talk ambulance. As a matter of fact, if we don't say the word ambulance or asphalt for the next month or so, I'll be pretty happy about that. I agree, Councilman West, that the financial aspect of it is pretty daunting at this particular time. But I kind of look at it like it's money that we almost have to spend now based on how much we would lose if we don't. And it's my understanding that without doing this phase, the next 3 phases aren't even going to be possible. And while $500,000 is a lot of money, I do also agree with Mayor Como that if you've been to Home Depot or any of the local hardware stores lately and tried to buy a 2x4, the amount of increase in materials just continues to skyrocket. And at this point, we don't see anything changing on that. So it's kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face. I think it's something that we have to do to prepare us for those next steps, even though they're further out in the future. I think we need to do it. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councilman.
Your Honor,
Councilman Batolo.
I'd like to thank Councilor West, Councilor Robinson for their comments. The reason that I wanted to eliminate the bike portion of this was to make that delta between the concrete versus asphalt almost negligible. So that kind of took that argument away. I'm all for concrete. I believe it's the way to go from a maintenance standpoint. I don't want to see this job delayed any further than what it is now. So I think we need to move forward with it.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Robinson.
If I can just address that real quickly. It was brought to my attention that there may be some local people that may be willing to donate some time and effort into moving the soil that's going to end up there to make a usable bike park or path. And I would full-heartedly support that. The reason I do like the idea of the bike path is if we don't do something with it, it's just going to be another location where Walmart bags can accumulate, and then we pick them up every Earth Day or every spring when we do a citywide cleanup, and I'd hate to see that happen.
By the way, the whole entire month of May is citywide cleanup, before I forget. So make sure you get out and do that. Back on the resolution, councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Hickerson.
just for a little clarification, so with the bike path included, the Coleman bid would have totaled $5,107,570.34, correct? Which would take them back out of the low bid, just to make sure I'm seeing this right on my numbers.
That is correct.
Okay. That's all I had, thank you.
Any other further discussion, or what is your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman West.
move to approve Resolution 2021-58.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-58. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Abstain.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. With that comes item number 11, Resolution 2021-59.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and DeBernardi Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $263,250 and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-59.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-59. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Counselor Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Abstain.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 12, Resolution 2021-60.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with Kilgore Companies LLC doing business as Lewis and Lewis Inc. in the amount of $937,726.50, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-60.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-60. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 13, Resolution 2021-61.
A resolution authorizing and directing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to accept and approve a budget revision to the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage.
I move to approve Resolution 2021-61.
We do have a motion to approve 2021-61. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
I'll abstain.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. And item number 14, Resolution 2021-62.
A resolution accepting and approving a lease between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, the Rock Springs Urban Renewal Agency, and McCurtain Rentals, and directing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, Chad Banks as manager of the Rock Springs Urban Renewal Agency, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of said city to execute said lease on behalf of said city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Hickerson.
I move to approve 2021-62.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-62. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Zadi,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes, councilors, this is going to bring us to our ordinance section of our agenda, of which we have 4. The first one, ordinance 2021-02, third reading.
An ordinance repealing Article 4-5 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Library, whereas the governing body of the City of Rock Springs desires to repeal Article 4-5 entitled Library, sections 4, 501, 502, 503, 504, and 505 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs.
Councilors, third reading, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage.
I move to approve ordinance 2021-02.
Council, we do have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-02. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Counselor Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 2, ordinance 2021-03, second reading.
An ordinance amending Article 10-1 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Liquor License, whereas effective July 1st, 2021, amendments to Title 12 of the Wyoming statutes related to alcoholic beverages will take effect.
Item number 3, resolution, or ordinance 2021-04, first reading.
An ordinance amending Article 5-2 entitled Operation of Motor Vehicles of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, whereas the governing body of the City of Rock Springs desires to amend Article 5-2 entitled Operation of Motor Vehicles, Section 5207 of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs.
One comment, I'd like to thank our city planner, Laura. She's, in a sense, much smarter than I am, but strange in the way that she loves to deal with these kind of things. And this has been this has been kind of a cutting edge new idea that's come forward, and she did a lot of research and put this together, provided an opportunity for staff to comment. Great job, and hopefully this all works out. Appreciate your work on that. And item number 4, ordinance 2021-05 on first reading.
An ordinance creating Article 1010 Shared Electric Scooter Program within Chapter 10 Issuance and Regulation of Licenses and Permits of the City of license and permits of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, whereas the City of Rock Springs desires to broaden the range of environmentally friendly, flexible, affordable, and accessible multimodal transportation options available to the citizens of Rock Springs.
Easy for you to say.
That's Rick's word, by the way.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you read that again?
Could you repeat
Did I say that right,
Council,
Rick?
at this time, I would entertain a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss litigation in real estate.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Dwayne.